where are we walking through right now?
So we're walking through the Christian quarter. The old city of Jerusalem contains 4 quarters: the Muslim, the Jewish, the Christian, and the Armenian. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is built in the heart of the Christian quarter.
Right behind me is the Church of Holy Sepulchre, which is said to be the place of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. I'm about to head in and learn all about the history. Let's go. Heading up to Calvary Hill, which is said to be the location of Jesus' crucifixion. Let's go. The real question is, how do we really know this is the exact spot of Jesus' crucifixion?
I would not tell you anything that I can't support with historic facts. Today, what you see here is a Catholic church built in the 1900s on top of an early church built in the 4th century AD. In the case of Christ, from reading the Gospels, we know a lot. We know he was crucified on a hill. If you notice, we walked steps going here. Remember how Jesus himself was a Jew. So all the burial customs were according to the Jewish religion. So this location of the exact church we're standing in today is outside the city from the time of Christ. And until today, Jews don't bury within the city. In addition, in archaeological excavation, they found here a Roman temple to Aphrodite that the Roman emperor built on top of the place of the crucifixion to block it from early Christians to access the place. So what you should imagine standing here on a Friday and exactly at noon, which is the specific time when Jesus himself was crucified right here in Jerusalem, is just try to ignore all of these walls, try to ignore the silver and the gold. Just imagine Calvary Hill, which we're standing on, with 3 crosses as described in the Gospels, and Jesus in the middle. Now, if we continue to read in the words of the Gospel, we will discover that they did not allow Jesus to hang on the cross for 3 days, like other crucifixes historically used to. Why? Because according to Jewish tradition in Jerusalem until today, you don't allow people to sleep a night. What they mean is that people who die will bury them in the night before the arrival of Sabbath. And third, it's outside the city of Jerusalem in the time of Christ, which is most likely according to the Jewish law. Combining all of this points out to be the place. We also coordinated with the exact time, which is a Friday in Jerusalem at noon, where we're at now, in the exact place where Jesus himself was crucified.
So now that we've seen the site of Jesus' crucifixion, we went downstairs to see where he was buried.
This is the place where he was buried. Again, the obvious question is, how do we know this is not a fairy tale and this is the exact place where Jesus was brought? So if you come here to Jerusalem and enter, you will see kind of a stone bed. Parts of this rock originate to the 1st century AD, to the time of Christ. So these are people coming from all over the world, waiting for sometimes a couple of hours in line to come and see and testify in person that the tomb of Jesus is empty and Jesus has resurrected.
Wow.
What we see here is a relatively modern monument, not more than 200 years old, and it was renovated recently. In fact, during the renovation, they opened Jesus' tomb for the first time after 500 years to discover and validate what they thought to be the right spot. Can you imagine what they found after opening this tomb after 500 years? Anyone who will enter there will see a marble bed. And so they lifted that marble bed. Underneath it, they found an earlier green marble with a cross, an ancient cross, pointing out that this has some sort of Christian sense. Once they lifted that up, they found an original bed dating back to the time of Christ. Another proof we will see next is inside the cave, which are another set of caves dating back to that time, validates that this was a special tomb that was so special they wanted to exclude it from all the rest and make it stand for itself, most likely the tomb of Christ, where Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Christ, came here on the Sunday discovering the tomb is empty and Jesus has resurrected. We're in the Syrian chapel inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Here we have a very strong evidence to this being a burial area in the time of Christ. How they used to bury in the ancient times, they used to take the body and put it onto a stone bed, what was found inside the tomb itself. Put it there for a year until the flesh, the body, used to decay. Come after a year and collect the bone into a special box big enough to fit the biggest bone in the human body called the femur. We call these boxes ossuaries. They found lots of them in Jerusalem, some of very, very important people. For instance, they found the ossuary of Caiaphas, the high priest that is mentioned in the gospel. And here in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, we have very strong evidence because we have some of these caves dating back to the time of Christ. And this is what I want you to see right here. So if we open again this book and read the words of the gospel, we read of this man called Joseph of Arimathea, who is known to be a wealthy man, gives his cave to Jesus. There is a nice joke I heard from a pastor a couple of years ago, is that Joseph of Arimathea comes home after giving Christ his tomb, his cave, and his wife goes, "You know, honey, I'm so sorry you gave it away. I know that Jesus is the Savior and all, but you know, it's a family cave and it costs a lot of money. I don't know what we're gonna do when we're gonna die. Where are we going to be buried in one of these shafts? Because it's all gonna be filled up." So Joseph of Arimathea says to her, "Honey, don't worry, it's just for the weekend." Going through this process of the Passion of Christ, starting and following the last night and the last day of his life until the crucifixion, for me, even despite of the fact I'm not Christian, is so moving.
Definitely.
And I wish to see all and everyone, whoever is watching this show, to come and experience it for himself.
Definitely. We all know I'm not Christian either, and this has to be one of the most moving and special places that I've visited here in Jerusalem. So thank you, Asaf, so much. So we just finished our trip here in Jerusalem. Make sure to check out Asaf's tour company. We're going to link it below. And of course, stay tuned to see where I cruise Israel next. Bye, guys.